Great to have you on the line and have you on the show, Claude. And so many talking points coming out of that Masters, so much drama. Let's start with the champion if we can, Claude. The best golfer, I think it's fair to say, on the planet in 2023. And the fourth Spaniard now to wear the green jacket. What impressed you most about Jon Rahm's performance?
I mean, Robbie, Jon Rahm's so good that I gave his coach a ride home last night down to Jupiter, Dave Phillips from one of the co-founders of the Titleist Performance Institute. And, you know, I was saying to Dave, John's so good, you wonder how he doesn't win every week. I mean, that's how complete a player he is. That's how complete his game is. He's a closer. He's got no fear. He's not afraid of the big stage. And he's one of those players. I mean, there's about five of them. I think you can throw Jon Rahm, Rory, DJ, Brooks, Jordan. When they're playing good at their best, there's an argument that they're tough, almost impossible to beat.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no facet of his game that is not absolutely world class. And that obviously goes for his mental game as well. And he's 28, Claude. I mean, he's been winning since he got on tour. I guess you could say for a guy of his talent, that's a little slow to get to two majors, but now you feel like the floodgates could open, right? You could sense that he could win a bunch of majors in the next couple of years.
Well, I definitely think everybody thinks that he has the talent to do that. But, you know, Robbie, as we have seen with Rory McIlroy in 2014, when Rory won his fourth major championship, one short of the Grand Slam at Valhalla. If someone were to tell you in 2023 that Brooks Koepka had a legit chance to win his fifth major yesterday, I don't think anyone would believe it. Majors are very difficult to win. I think we saw that yesterday with Brooks. And you have to put yourself in a position to win one. And we saw last week that, you know, the favorite, Rory McIlroy, going for the Grand Slam, going for the elusive green jacket, you know, doesn't even make the cut. So I think the best players in the world in any sport, Robbie, make it look very difficult for the viewers and the fans. And greatness is something we expect of them. But it is very, very difficult to win these. And, you know, you've got to put yourself in position. John's put himself in position a lot. And, you know, every week on the PGA Tour or the LIV or DP World or LPGA, wherever you're playing, the only thing you can have control over is to put yourself in position to win. You want to be one of those, you know, 5 to 6 guys late in the afternoon on a Sunday that is in the mix. And we saw a lot of guys yesterday that were in the mix, and it's hard to win. But I think Jon Rahm is as complete a player as we've seen. When he turned professional, Phil Mickelson was kind of his mentor, and Phil was taking, I won't disclose the amount of money, but he was taking a bet that Jon Rahm would be number one in the world inside of a year to 2 years. That's how good Phil thought he was.
Yeah. And he's proving it. He's proving it now, Claude, on the biggest stage. And for your man Brooks, I mean, we met briefly in Saudi Arabia a couple of months ago, Claude, and Brooks had announced that finally he's healthy. He's got his confidence back. He's ready to go. And I think what we're realizing, actually, and for the uninitiated, for those not in the inner circle, particularly of those who watched the Full Swing episode with Brooks, where he was very candid with the journey that he's been on. He showed some vulnerability there that we're not used to seeing from a guy who's a real kind of mental titan, really, in many respects. It's a long road back, and you know better than anyone else as his coach and the man alongside him that, you know, he's really been down that long road to get to a position where he's once again leading after 54 holes. That was a heck of an effort.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think most. I mean, listen, it's not the journalist's fault or the fans' fault or people in television. They don't know what's going on with professional athletes. If you're not part of someone's team or part, as you said, part of the inner circle, you're just basically guessing. You're hearing rumors here. Brooks was very close to game over from a career standpoint. That's how catastrophic the injuries were. I think everybody saw a side of him from, you know, the Full Swing documentary. He seemed vulnerable, but Robbie, that's the person that I know. The person I know, the Brooks Koepka that I know, is the guy that's sending, his caddy Ricky and I in a group text messages today. He's devastated. He is absolutely gutted that he wasn't able to get it done. And I saw him briefly last night after he did media, and I just gave him a hug and told him I was proud of him. And I think the journey he's been on has been pretty. It's been amazing to watch. I said this all last week in the interviews that I gave. I've never seen him work harder, and I think you'll continue to see him work harder. This is a massive setback for a guy that is an alpha. He likes to portray that he is an alpha. I think people see him as an alpha, and to not get it done with a 2-shot or 3-shot lead going into the final round, it hurts. It definitely hurts me. I didn't sleep at all last night, and I can't imagine what Brooks is feeling. But the journey he has been on has been not so much redemption, but kind of getting back to where he was. And Robbie, if you think about it, what a difference, a week makes. A week ago in Orlando, Brooks wins on LIV, and all the talk is the tour is insignificant. There's no competition. It's an exhibition. They're all washed up. They all took the bag, and they're all going to play terrible at Augusta because they haven't had any form. And 3 of the LIV guys finished inside the top 4, and 2 finished second. So sports is ever changing. But I do think, Robbie, last week will go a long way to changing this LIV versus the PGA Tour. A lot of the LIV guys in their interviews in Orlando a week and a bit ago were saying when they were asked questions about how they were going to be treated at Augusta, they were telling the reporters it was largely the media making it up. Sergio was big in talking about that, and the media and social media was ablaze with it's not us, it's real. And then everybody got to the Masters, and it was really like going back to high school. I got to be honest with you. We travel 25, 30 weeks a year. There's about 400 or 500 of us that travel. There's, every week there's roughly 150 caddies, 150 players. And, I had some, really warm embraces with people that I consider friends that I really haven't seen since the U.S. Open. As I was leaving last night, Shea, who caddies for Victor Hovland, who, I really like as a human being. We gave each other hugs, and we both said, man, it's so good to see you, because we don't see each other anymore. So I think last week will go a long way to softening some of this, because if you're going to push that there is a rift between the players and the caddies and the people playing professional golf on the PGA Tour and LIV, if you're going to do that moving forward, you're doing that for 100% your own reasons. And it's your own narrative, because it's just not the case.
I think, a lot of it was obviously last year with Rory as the big spokesman, and Rory taking quite a few of these developments quite personally with LIV. It was interesting to see how the players and DJ, who, of course, as we know, very straight talker, just rocks up at Augusta, and he was like, my buddies are my buddies. I just, that hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. And there's no doubt, Claude, that was a really strong week for LIV. The doubts surrounding whether the guys could be competitive at the majors completely dispelled. I mean, Phil Mickelson, we could talk for 20 minutes on what Phil did. Well, that was remarkable at the age that he's at. Shooting 65 on a Masters Sunday was truly extraordinary. But how much does this now advance, Claude, the impetus and the imperative to sort this all out? Because we can't be having these world rankings. Brooks being ranked outside the top 100 is obviously nonsensical. We need to find a solution for this.
Yeah, yes, I think obviously last week, if you are going to look at the divide between, over the last 6-7 months between LIV and the PGA Tour, I definitely think you can make a case that it was a win for LIV. In as much, Robbie, as the narrative was all of the guys that went to LIV were has-beens. The young guys that went to LIV, they were throwing away their careers. They weren't going to have any competition, and they were just going to be playing exhibition golf. And I think if you look at the way the players played last week, I think it's unbelievably, Robbie, naive to think Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed, Harold Varner, Taylor Gooch, Waco, Mito Pereira, all of the guys that played last week. I just think you're naive if you think because they play on LIV, they're not good golfers. And I know that everybody was waiting yesterday if Brooks didn't get the win to write, it was 54 holes and he couldn't close in 72 holes. Well, Phil Mickelson did pretty good in 72 holes. Patrick Reed did pretty good in 72 holes. And Brooks Koepka did pretty good in 72 holes. What the guys say privately to us, and it's funny, Robbie, there is this us and them now, and it's just a reality. But I do think the big winner yesterday and last week was golf. I think the fans were the big winners because they got to see the best players in the world play. And I saw a tweet that Dan Rappaport, who was one of the guys that spoke in Full Swing, that the PGA of America are going to reward Brooks Koepka his full World Ryder Cup ranking points from yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to change. And I think the narrative now moving forward is going to be, listen, there's the Premier League and there's La Liga. There's the Bundesliga. There's the French League. There's Serie A. Just like there are in every other sports, there are different places where players play. And, you and I have talked about this a number of times. I want LIV to succeed because I am pro-professional golfer and pro-professional athlete. I have never worked for the PGA Tour. I've never worked for the USGA, the R&A, the PGA of America, the USGA. I've never worked for a governing body that a large part of what they do is organize a couple of events, especially the R&A, the USGA, the PGA, and the Masters. They're organizing one male professional tournament a year. And then the PGA Tour organizes a bunch of tournaments for players. But I want LIV to succeed because I want players to have options. I want professional golfers, the best professional golfers in the world, to be paid accordingly to the way all other great athletes, the way Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are paid, the way Cristiano Ronaldo is paid, the way American football players, Steph Curry, athletes, I think, for what they are expected to do by the fans, for the people that watch our great athletes, the pressure they're under to perform and the expectation level that the fans have, that there can never be a dip in form, that there can never be a bad week, that they can never play a bad game, they can never have a bad round. It's an enormous amount of pressure. And that's why you see these great athletes across the board in all sports. That's why they make the money they make, because that's the demands the fans expect of them. So I think the big winner last week was golf. I think LIV is going to go down. I leave on Friday to go down to Australia, and we've got back-to-back weeks in Australia and Singapore. And I think we are going to see an unbelievable turnout in Adelaide. I'm talking to the LIV people that are involved in tickets. The fans are desperate to see. I was talking to Adam Scott last week, and he was like, hey, you guys are going to have great. It's great that you guys are going down there. Other than every now and again when there was an Australian Open and you pay an appearance fee to have a big player from, you're going to have some of the best players in the world. And after last week, you can't tell me that we are not going to see some of the best players in the world playing in LIV Adelaide next week. No. And this week you are seeing, and trust me, there were a lot of guys this week, Robbie, Harbortown, which is the RBC Heritage Classic, which is the week following the Masters. That's a designated event on the PGA Tour. Rory's got to be there. Jon Rahm's got to be there. Justin Thomas has got to be there. All of the PGA Tour superstars have to play this event. And if you think a lot of these guys want to get in their car and drive to Harbour Town either last night or today and go play a golf tournament. They don't. A lot of guys normally skip this week on the PGA Tour because they're so worn out from the Masters. They don't have those choices anymore. So I think we're in an incredibly interesting time in golf, but golf is golf. I don't care where you're playing golf. I don't care what tour you're playing on. We always say, Robbie, to our junior golfers and to professional golfers, hey, don't look at the leaderboard today. You're not playing Tiger Woods if he's in the group with you and he's tied for the lead. You're playing the golf course. And it's easy to get wrapped up into what the other players are doing. So golf is golf. And I think we saw that last week. And I think the fans were the big winners last week, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Dubai Eye 103.8.
Join the conversation.